Asibonge. Amen. Isihloko salenkonzo sithi izindlela Aziqedwa zokuthanda kwakho umuntu.
Today's topic says his ways of loving a person are infinite.
Angazi ukuthi ezulwini uyawuthandwe makwenze njani ungathandwa makwenze njani.
I do not know why some people are loved in heaven and some people are not.
Kodwa khona into eyakhulunywa ingelosi ithi yathi uma uNkulunkulu ekupha into ubakwazi ukuthi akavele kuphe nje kodwa usuke ebheke ukuthi kube khona into omenzela yona.
But there is something that was spoken by the angel to us, that when God gives you something, he expects something from you. It is not just a gift that is in vain.
Cishe kwaku 2007 sihlala lapha efletini eSouth Beach.
It was around the year 2007 when we lived at South Beach in a flat.
Leli flat ngangilikhokhela 3,000 rand ngenyanga.
And I was renting 3,000 rands per month.
Ngenye inyanga kwatholakala ukuthi ayikho nhlobo imali engase ngikwazi ukuthi ngikhokhe ngayo.
And at a particular month I did not have enough rent.
Ngakhathazeka kakhulu.
And I was worried.
Sithela pasakhathazekile kwase kufika unkosazana uhlaleleni.
As we, in the midst of our worry, the maiden Hlaleleni came to us.
Wathi uhlaleleni yini engikhathaza kangaka aniceli ngani imali kubaba ilanga ngoba uyanithanda uzonipha.
And she said, why are you so troubled? Why do you not ask for money from Shembe II, for he will give you?
Ngalesi seluleko sahamba nomkhokheli khona endlini lapho esithandaza khona. Safike sakhipha 20 rand sabika kubaba ukuthi sihluphekile asinamali kufanele sikhokhe nerent.
And we adhered to that advice and gave an offering at the altar of 20 rands and said that we do not have money and we need to pay rent.
Isimangaliso senzeka ukuthi kwathi ngakusasa ngithi ngiya emsebenzini ngathola esikhomeni sami sekuno 2,900 rand.
And a great miracle that happened is that when I was just ready to go to work in the morning, I found that there was 2,900 rands in my bag.
Satideka ukuthi le mali ivela kuphi.
And we were confused as to where this money was coming from.
Ngithe ngisemsebenzini umkhokheli wangishayela ucingo wathi ingilosi sekufike futhi imali angisazi noma 100 kodwa yagcina seku 3,000 rand.
And then when I was at work, the chief counselor called me and said that there is also another money that she has found.
Sithema sesitholile imali ingilosi yafika yathi akusho ukuthi njoba ubaba eninikeze imali lokho sekusho ukuthi nohlale nithole imali ngokomlilo.
And after having received that money, the angel came to us and said that since Shembe II has given you money, it does not mean that you will always get money magically.
Ngaleo mali okunye ngakwenza ngathenga i-shirt. Lelo shirt futhi la khethwa uyena unkosazana namanje sekhona li-shirt elifanele.
And I used some of that money to buy a shirt, and it was chosen by the maiden. Up until today, I still have it.
Yikho ngithi izindlela zokuthanda umuntu kaziqedwa ezulwini ngoba ngangazi ukuthi kungani ukuthi ingilosi ikhulume lokho sigcine sesithola imali engaka.
And that is why I say that his ways of loving a person are infinite, for I do not know why the angel would speak such a thing to the extent that we'd get that amount of money.
Nganginenhloso ukuthi mangiphume efletini ngizohamba ngemaphandleni noma komgababa ngiyokakha umuzi.
I had an objective that after living in the flats, I would go out to rural areas and build a house there.
Kodwa ingilosi enqaba yathi ayifuni ukuthi ngakhe emaphandleni, ifuna ukuba ngakhe edrobheni.
But the angel refused and said that she does not want me to have a house in the rural areas, but I must live in an urban area.
Ngase ngithi imali yokuthenga izindle edrobheni kayinkulu anginayo ngoba inkulu imali efuneka edrobheni.
And I said that I could not afford an urban area house.
Wathi unkosazana ngiyakwazi lokho kodwa okubalekile ukuthi ufuna indlu enjani edrobheni.
And the maiden said that I know that, but what is important at this stage is what kind of house do you want in the urban areas?
Ngathi ngifuna indlu stairs.
And I said that I wanted a double-story house.
Wathi hamba ke uyifune uzoyithola.
And she said, go and look for it, you'll find it.
Ngafica lapha sengibonele indlu ngafica kugcwele abantu bebaningi kakhulu bezofuna le ndlu. Abanye beza no cash.
After seeing this house, I came here and I found that there was a great number of people and some of them were offering to pay for it cash.
Kodwa ngathi mangiphuma umlungu oyedayisa le ndlu avele waphuma wathi cha nangu umuntu engifuna ethenge le ndlu ekhomba mina.
But when the white man who was selling this out came out, he pointed to me and said that this is the person whom I want to sell the house to.
Ngangimantshi eMsinga ngaleso sikhathi.
I was a magistrate at Msinga during that time.
Esikhathi sasinqunyiwe ukuthi ngiyithenge le ndlu kwakukuthi akufanele kwedlule inyanga ezintathu.
And I was given a deadline of 3 months to purchase this house.
Kodwa zaphela ingekho imali yokuyithenga.
But those 3 months came to pass and I still did not have the money to purchase it.
Leyo nto yangihlupha kakhulu ngaze ngavuka iBP.
And that that troubled me greatly to the extent that my blood pressure rose.
Kodwa kwathi ngolesihlanu umkhokheli eseyidolo lapha zalapha eMsinga wabona sengena uhlalelweni kugcwele abantu.
But it was a Friday and the chief counselor was at the stores of Msinga and the maiden came in those stores in the presence of people.
Ngoba abantu babemi ulayini nenkathi bebona lenglosi bethuka bama lapha nakwasala umkhokheli yedwa.
Because people were queued when they saw this angel, they were shocked and they went away up until the chief counselor was left alone.
Ayikuthi bahamba babaqhela kulo line bebekuona.
They did not leave, they just moved away.
Wafika uhlaleleni waguqa watshela umkhokheli ukuthi hamba utshela umvangeli ukuthi le ndlu ukuthi ubaba ilanga usesayinile ukuthi le ndlu ingeyakhe.
And the angel said to the chief counselor, tell the evangelist that Shembe II has signed and granted this house to him.
Kwathi ngisenkantolo ngalolu suku ngashayelwa ucingo umlungu wathi ngiyabona ukuthi awukhokhile kodwa hamba uyohlala endlini uzoyithola imali yokukhokha.
I was at the court on that particular day and I received a phone call from this white man and he said that I see that you have not paid but you can go and occupy the house up until you have the finance to purchase it.
Ngahlala kule ndlu ngingakakhokhi ngisho isenti ngokusho kahlaleleni ukuthi sekuyindlu yami.
And I started living in this house prior to even paying a cent through the word of the angel.
Lo muzi nje ngawuthola kanjalo wawuko 700,000 rand kodwa uqobo lwalo ngafanele ifike ngisho ku 1.2 million.
And that is how I got ownership of this house, but its value at the time was 1.2 million, but I only got it for 700,000.
Ziningi ke izinto unkosazana esinikeza zona ngendlela yothando onalo ngathi kodwa esingaqondi ukuthi uthando lunganjani.
And there are many things that the angel has given to us through the love that she has for us, but we do not understand that love that she has for us.
Ithike inglosi uthi ubaba ithike inglosi ubaba ukwenze lokho ukutshengisa ukuthi uyanithanda nokuthi useduze kwenu.
And the angel said that Shembe II has done this for you to show that he loves you and that he is close to you.
Ngangazi-ke ukuthi usithandelani yini ehlale ehamba nathi.
And I do not know why he would love us and he would always be with us.
Kodwa ingilosi isishilo noma ngalesikhathi ayingakasho ukuthi uma uNkulunkulu ekupha into usekukhona into oqonde kuba wena unike yena.
But the angel did say that if God gives you something, there is something that he intends for you to give back to him.
Ngabali izinto eziningi esasizenzela uhlaleleni ngaleso sikhathi singazi ukuthi kungani ngoba kwako 2007 2008.
And there are many things that I can mention that the angel did for us. The angel Hlaleleni did for us, but we did not know why. And it was around the year 2007 and 2008.
Ngisho ukushada kwethu uyena owayenza yonke into noma abantu babengakuboni lokho.
Even our marriage and wedding was planned by her, though people did not witness that.
Angizokuyibala ke zonke izinto kodwa ngiqonde ukuthi izindlela zikaNkulunkulu angeke uziqonde zokuthanda kwakhe umuntu.
I will not mention everything, but what I intend to say is that you cannot understand the different ways that God can love a person.
Sengiqala ukubona manje ukuthi njoba uNkosazana wayesithanda kanje okuseqinisweni wayeze ukuthi sizothunywa.
It is now that I realize that the angel has such a great love for us, for we would in the future be mandated to do certain tasks.
Ngoba ngangazi ukuthi yini eyenza ukuthi lengilosi isikhathalele kangaka. Ngize ngakuqonda lokho uma isithi kangivule ibandla ukuthi okuseqinisweni into ebalekile ukuthi ngivule ibandla ngakhe ibandla ngishumayela indaba kaNkulunkulu.
For I did not know why the angel would have such a great care for us, but I did understand when I was told that I should open up this congregation, and I saw at that time that what was important was for me to start this congregation of God.
Njengoba silapha njena sinenhloso eyodwa ngokushoka ababilanga noma abanye bengeke azi ukuthi bazokwenza.
As we are gathered here, we have one purpose, as said by Shembe II, though other people might not know why they are here.
Inhloso yethu ukuthi sihambe siye ezulwini.
Our intention or goal is to go to heaven.
Uthi babilanga eshumayela uthi sonke njengoba silapha njena sishaye uhele siyezulwini kodwa kuyikho ukuthi akakho azi ukuthi ubani ngaphambi komunye.
Shembe II said that as we are all gathered here, we are in a queue to go to heaven. It is just that we do not know who is before who.
Njengoba sigcwele lapha njena sishaye uhele khona iminyaka eyofika ungasekho umuntu lo olapha sesihambe sonke kodwa inkinga ukuthi asazi ukuthi ubani uyobe phambi komunye.
As we are gathered here, we are all queued. There is a time that is coming when none of you will exist during that particular time. It is just that we do not know who is in front of who.
Kodwa inkinga ekhona ukuthi noma sikholiwe kuyenzeka ukuthi sithi mase sihambe emhlabeni singazi.
But the problem is that it happens that though we are believers, at times we are going to pass away and not enter heaven.
Ngendlela eningi kuyenzeka lokho.
And it happens in many ways.
uJudas Iscariot wayemfundi kaJesu.
Judas Iscariot was an apostle of Yeshua.
Emthanda kakhulu. iBhayibheli lisho njalo.
And he loved Yeshua, and that is what the Bible says.
Kodwa egcineni wenza isono esagcina simenza ebasesihogweni ngokudayisa ngoYeshua.
But at the end of his days he transgressed, and that it was that transgression that sent him to hell.
Manje nake njengoba silapha nathi noma sikholiwe kodwa asazi ukuthi kodwa egcineni kube njani ngathi.
So as we are gathered here, we are believers, but we do not know what will happen to us at the end.
Kuleli bandla kwakukhona inkosazana eyayikholwe kakhulu, ihlabelela kahle, isina kahle.
in this congregation there was once a maiden who was a great believer. She was faithful. She sang beautifully and she could dance for God beautifully.
Leso kwakuseyisikhathi sikaMprofethi.
And it was during the time of the prophet Izashembe.
Le ntombazana yasiyagana. Ithe mayiseyiganile yagula kakhulu.
And this maiden got married, and when she got married she got sick heavily.
Angazi noma lapha igane khona kwakungabantu amaNazaretha kodwa yathi mayiseyigula ayisithathwa isiwe enyangeni yohlala khona.
I do not know whether she was married into a family of Nazarites, but I do know that when she was sick she was sent to a traditional healer.
Kodwa yafika yashona lapho.
And she died when she got there.
Ngelinye ilanga ubabamkhulu wabuza ukuthi iphi le ntombazana.
And one particular day the prophet asked as to where is this maiden.
Bamphendula bathi baba seyashona.
And they said to him that she has passed away.
Wayesethi yathi mayishona yashona.
And she asked them, where did she go to after she passed on?
Kwatholakala ukuthi bonke abantu abakwazi ukuchaza ukuthi yashona.
And it was found that nobody could explain as to where she went to.
Uthi-ke ubabamkhulu kade kufike izithunywa zasezulwini zizongibuza ukuthi umbali yethemba washonaphi ngoba akekho ezulwini futhi akekho esifokweni.
And the prophet said that divine beings were here to ask me as to where Mbali Temba went, for she is not in heaven nor was she in hell.
Wayesethi ubabamkhulu ucela ukuthi amaNazaretha emthandazise eyofuna lo muntu lo ntombazana bekwenze lokho esigubeni sika 12 ebusuku.
And the prophet asked the Nazarites that they help him find this maiden and that they should do that during the midnight prayer.
Kwathi ngelinye isabatha ubabamkhulu wachaza ukuthi uyitholile le ntombazana uyithole ezulwini lezinja.
And at a particular Shabbat the prophet said that she found this maiden and she was in a spiritual heaven of dogs.
Uthi-ke ubabamkhulu wayehamba ecinga kuwo wonke amazulu uthi wathi mayizodlula ezulwini lezinja uthi zamkhonkotha kodwa kwaba khona inja esimaku emkhonkotha emlandela kwacaca ukuthi le nja emkhonkothi nje kodwa umnikazi wayo.
And the prophet said that he journeyed in all the heavens to look for her, and just as he was passing by the heaven of the dogs, they barked at him, and it so happened that there was a puppy which constantly barked at him up until it was realized that this puppy was following its owner.
Uthi-ke ubabamkhulu wagcina sema lesi simaku seza eduze kwakhe silokhu simkhonkotha. Uthi wayesebuza ukuthi wena nja uyiphi inja ezinjeni zasephakameni.
And the prophet eventually stood, and this puppy came to him and carried on barking up until he asked this puppy, "Oh puppy, amongst the dogs of Ekpagameni, which one are you?"
Uthi ubabamkhulu yayisiyaphenduka le nja isiba umuntu uba uyena umbali yethemba ithi baba ngaduka ngadla imithi ngangaya ezulwini ngawuhlala ezulwini lezinja.
And this puppy then shape shifted and it turned to Mbali Temba, the maiden, and she said that I got lost, I did not go into heaven, they used muti on me and I landed up in this heaven of the dogs.
Uthi-ke ubabamkhulu ngiyabonga amaNazaretha ukuthi umthandazo wenu uwona owenza ukuthi ngikwazi ukuyithola le ntombazana ngoba ezulwini bese kumangalelwa mina ukuthi yashona.
And the prophet said, "Thank you, Nazarites, for it is through your prayers that I found this maiden, for they were inquiring of her from me in heaven."
Wayithatha-ke le ntombazana ubabamkhulu wayisa ezulwini wayichaza-ke indaba engazoyichaza.
And she took this maiden to heaven. It is a story that I will not explain for now.
Kodwa engiqonda ukusho ukuthi noma sikholiwe kuyenzeka ukuthi uma sesifa singayizulwini.
But what I'm trying to say is that though we are faithful and are believers, it happens that a time that we do not go to heaven.
Ingilosi yasifundisa ukuthi zingakanani izinto ezingenza umuntu ekholiwe kodwa egcine ngayanga ezulwini noma ubenganasona.
The angel has explained to us some of the things that might result in a person not going into heaven though they had no sins.
Ngapha eSouth Coast kwakunenye insizwa lendaba ngangizwa ixoxwa ubaba Ilanga.
There was a guy from South Coast. I heard the story being narrated by Shembe II.
Yayisiya kumfowabo owayimemele ukuthi kuyahlatshwa isihlanganyela nawo kodwa lensizwa yayiNazareth.
And this Nazarite guy went to his home and there was a sacrifice.
Kanti lapha lo mfowabo akayithandi base beyidlisa ngenyama yenja.
And it happened that his brother who had invited him did not love him and they fed him dog meat.
Ngenkathi segula lo muntu kwakuye kutholakala sekunezinja eziningi ziza emzini wakhe kube sengathi ziyaphinga kodwa ziza kuye.
And when he was sick and about to die, it was found that dogs would gather around where he was.
Noma ngabe uya toilet ephekezelwe ngabantu ngoba izinja zazizimlandela.
And even if he was going to the loo, people would accompany him, for dogs would follow him.
Uthiwe ubaba Ilanga lo muntu kwathi mayesezoshona eshone kuye phaphama ethi angiuboni umuzi wasekuphakameni ayikho into yokukholwa engiyibona kodwa ngibona izinja zingihola phambili zingisezulwini lazo.
And Shembe II said it happened that this person would die and awake, and he said that I do not see the city of Ekpagameni. What I do see are dogs leading me into their heaven.
Uthike ubaba ngazi ukuthi lo muntu waphelela kodwa yena wathi efa wathi uholwa izinja.
And Shembe II said that he does not know what was the final destination of this person, but he did know that whilst he was dying, he was led by dogs.
Lensizwa yayikholiwe iNazareth.
This man was faithful and he was a Nazarite.
Kodwa egcineni waya ezulwini lezinja ngokuthakatha.
But at the end he went to the dogs of heaven through witchcraft.
Engqondo ukusho ukuthi noma ngabe ukholiwe kuyenzeka ukuthi ungayi ezulwini ngezathu eziningi.
What I'm saying is that even though you are a believer and are faithful, it is possible that you do not go to heaven.
Umfundisi Mpanza last week uke wakhuluma ngendaba yenkosi yakwamthethwa.
Last week, the priest in Banza spoke about the chief of the Mthethwa clan.
Lensizwa yayi izoba inkosi kodwa ayazi ayiphatha kahle.
He was set to be a chief, but he did not carry himself out properly.
Kwala ngisho ubaba Ilanga ethi uyayiluleka watholakala ukuthi ayimisele ukulalela lokho kushoyo ubaba Ilanga.
Even though Shembe II kept on advising him, he did not listen to the advices.
Egcineni yafa.
He eventually died.
Isiyinkosi.
And he was a king.
Kodwa ayanga ezulwini.
But he did not go to heaven.
Yahlala ethuneni.
He was kept in the grave.
Kwathi ngelinye ilanga unkosikazi wakhe ngesabathe esebenza wayibona isimo eminyango iwumuncu. Igcwele udaka emzimbeni wonke.
And it happened that one day, whilst his wife was carrying out the daily chores, it happened that she saw him and he was a ghost and he had mud all over him.
Unkosikazi wathi mayibuka lento wayelizwa izwi ukuthi yizwi lomyeni wakhe le kodwa engabonakala ukuthi umyeni wakhe ngoba wayondile futhi egcwele udaka emzimbeni wonke.
And his wife saw this thing and she recognized that this is the voice of my former husband, but he was thin and he had mud all over him.
lokhu ukuthi efike wafika emini hayi ukuthi wafika ebusuku wafika emini.
And he came to this particular wife during the day.
Wayesethi ucela ukuthi unkosikazi wakhe emyele kubabilanga eyomcelela intethelelo ngoba lapho khona usosisi.
And he asked his wife to go to Shembe II and ask for forgiveness, for he is in a place where he is in great sorrow and pain.
Uthi ke lo muntu njengoba nangicaba ngaze ngiphume ethuneni salokho ngihleli khona. Mangiphuma kubamnyama izwe lonke.
And this person said that since the day you buried me, I have never left the grave. Even if I do leave the grave, the whole place becomes dark, the whole land is dark.
Uthi lolu daka elikimi liyanginukela kabi. Kodwa ngikwazi ukugeza.
And he said that the mud that is on me smells terribly, but I cannot wash it away.
Uthi noma ngifika kumfolozi noma ngifika kumhlathuze noma ngifika kuthukela ngithi mangisondela kule mfula ivele iyisho.
And he said that even if he journeys to the great rivers like Mfolozi and Mhlatuze, if whenever he gets there, the rivers run dry.
Uthi ke lo muntu ngisosizini angidli angigqoki yonke into embi yehlela mina.
And this person said that I'm in great sorrow, I'm in great pain, I do not have anything to wear, I do not have anything to eat.
Uma ebuza unkosikazi wakhe ukuthi inkinga yakho yini kwenzeka kanjani ngoba wahamba emhlabeni ugqokile.
And the wife asked, what is your problem, for when you left earth you were clothed?
Uthi ke lo muntu angizange ngayihlonipha imizimba yamakhosazana.
And this person said that I did not respect the bodies of maidens.
Ngangilala nawo ngesabatha ngilala nawo noma kuku emhlanganweni ephakameni.
And I slept with them whether it was the Shabbat or the holy gatherings of a parliament.
Uthi noma konke babantu angizange ngaze ngabahlonipha.
And I did not respect people's wives.
Yonke into kwakuye ukuthi uma ngangiqonywe lama khosikazi ngilale nawo noma usemhlanganweni noma kuyisabatha.
And he said I had extramarital affairs with these wives and these maidens, and I would engage in sexual activities with them, whether it was the Shabbat or the holy gatherings.
Uthi ke lo muntu ubaba wangitshela ukuthi yonke lento engiyenzayo ngingacabanga ukuthi ngihlupha yena ngoba ngihlupha mina ngoba egcineni iyohlupha mina.
And this person said the father told me that I should not think that through doing these things I am troubling him, because all these things will come back to trouble me.
Ngangikhona kule ndawo lapha ubaba owayezokhulula khona lentombazana lenkosi. Ngangisemncane kakhulu cishe ngo 1964 noma 1967.
I was present at the time that Shembe went to that place to set him free. It was around the year 1964 or 67.
Engiqonda ukusho ukuthi siyahamba kodwa ekuhambeni kwethu kasiqonde.
What I'm saying is that we are going to pass away and that we should carry ourselves out properly.
Uma singaqondi sizoduka.
If we do not carry ourselves out properly, we are going to get lost.
Kukhona into eyakhulunywa ubaba ilanga emfisa ukuba ngiyifunde.
There is something that was spoken by Shembe II which I wish to read.
Page 26 wencwadi kaMnyando ethi Izindlela kababa ilanga.
It is on the 26th page of the book written by Mnyando titled The Sermons of Shembe II.
Uthi ke ubaba ilanga kungakho ngiye ngithi abantu abangavilaphi ukunikela ngoba ukunikela kudlula konke okukhona ekukholweni.
That is why I always say that people should not be lazy to give offerings, for giving offerings surpasses all things that you can do in this faith.
Ngoba kusuke kuyinto oyisebenzele ngegazi lakho nangesithukuthuku sakho.
for it is something that comes from your sweat and blood.
Uma ukubekile phambi kaNkulunkulu wakwemukela akakho umuntu ongakwephuca khona.
If you can lay it before Yahweh and He receives it, there is nobody who can take that away from you.
Njengabantu abangamaNazaretha kaNkulunkulu kufanele sazi ukuthi akuyiwa uNkulunkulu ngawuphethe umnikelo.
As the Nazarites of God, we should know that you cannot go before God without having an offering.
Njengoba sikhona nje nomkhokheli njalo masiya eLatini siphatha umnikelo.
I and the chief counselor go, whenever we go to the altar, have with us an offering.
Mhla ubaba ilanga esinikeza 3000 rand saya safike saguqa kuye sakhipha u20 rand ngoba sasingeke sikhulume lutho kuwo singaphethe umnikelo.
When Shembe II gave us 3,000 rand, we had went before him and we had 20 rands because we could not go to him empty-handed.
Uyaqhubeka ubaba ilanga uthi futhi njengoba nihlale nisho baningi abantu asebafa abanye bafa uShembe engakabikho.
And he carries on to say that there are many people who have passed away, and some of them passed away before even Shembe was in existence.
Abanye bafa uShembe sekhona.
And some of them died when Shembe was alive.
Kodwa abazange bakunaka lokho ukaShembe.
But they did not pay any attention to what Shembe was teaching.
Abanye beze kini bathi sisizeni ngokusinikelela ngoba ngeke sihluleke ngeke sikhululeke uma singanikelelwanga.
And some of them come to you and say that help us through giving offerings on our behalf, for we can never be set free if you do not give offerings.
Uthike ubaba ilanga ungabovi lapha ukunikela uma usaphila. Ubokukhuthalela kakhulu ngoba kuyinto eseduze noNkulunkulu kunezinto eziningi ongase uzenze.
And Shembe II says here that you should never be lazy to give an offering. You must have great zeal for that, for it is something that is closest to God in everything that you can do.
Futhi kuyinto enkulu kakhulu uma wazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyayimukela umnikelo wakho.
And it is even greater if you know that God has accepted or received your offering.
Abantu abaningi ngenxa yokugebenga okuningi okwenziwa abafundisi uyakuthi mangabe ubakhumbuza ngomnikelo bese bebona ukuthi ufuna ukusicebisa.
Because of the fraud that is carried out by most priests, whenever you remind people about offerings, they think that you want to enrich yourself.
Kodwa thina ingilosi isichazele kabanzi ngomnikelo ukuthi ayikho into engakusondeza kuNkulunkulu edlula umnikelo.
But the angel has explained greatly to us that there is nothing greater that can bring you closer to God than an offering.
Njengoba ngishilo ngenkathi sicela imali kubaba ilanga sakhipha umnikelo.
As I had said, that when we were asking for money from Shembe II, we gave an offering.
Kuleli bandla lamaNazaretha kwakunenkosikazi ka14 eyanikela yangabisanikela.
In this congregation of faith system of the Nazarites, there was a woman who was in the communion of women known as 14, and she was giving offerings for that communion, and it came up to a time where she stopped giving those offerings.
Ikhona ke into enjalo abantu ababekhole kodwa benganikeli ngoba ukunikela abacabanga ukuthi donation enziwa kwamanye amabandla.
Such a thing does exist wherein a person is a believer but does not partake in giving offerings.
Lenkosikazi yagula yafa.
And this woman became sick and she passed away.
Kwathi sekulandwe ihezi iyothatha isidumbu sakhe waphapha.
And when the hearse was there to fetch her corpse, she awoke.
Uthike lenkosikazi ngihamba ekhanyeni kwase kuvele kuba neminyama ngendlela esimangaliso mangabe ngisabona ukuthi ngiyaphi.
And this woman said that I journeyed through a place that was illuminated up until I reached a place where it was dark and I could not see where I was going.
Uthi-ke lo nkosikazi kube sekuqhamuka izwi lathi lapho bekukhanya khona ilapho kugcina khona umnikelo wakho.
And she said that a word came saying that the places where you were illuminated for, that was the end of your offerings.
Le nkosikazi ngenhlanhla yaphaphama ekhuluma lento ukuthi angiyibona indlela manje eya ezulwini.
Fortunately, she rose and she spoke about this, saying that I cannot see the way to heaven.
Ngendlela okwenzeka ngayo kwadinga ukuthi kubizwe umkhokheli wayo.
It happened such that the counselor who was in charge over her had to be summoned.
Yanikela phambi kwamkhokheli silele phansi.
And she gave the offering for the woman's communion whilst she was lying down.
Ingasazi ukuthi izoshona.
And she did not know where to go.
Ngichaza ukuthi la ekhaya umnikela akuyona idonation kodwa ukukholwa.
I'm explaining to you that when we give offerings, those offerings do not form part of a donation, but they form part of being faithful.
Ngomnikelo ungacela noma yini uNkulunkulu akunike.
Through giving an offering, you can ask of anything from God, and God will give you that.
Ngo-1981 uMay umama wasithatha wasisa kubaba inyanga ezulu esewoma.
In the year 1981, our mother took us to Shembe the third, and he was at Wombe.
Kwakuyisikhumbuzo leso sika baba mkhulu ngoba kwakuMay 1981.
It was the month of the commemoration of the prophet in May 1981.
Waphuma ubaba inyanga ezulu weza kumama ekseni kakhulu wayesethi ngenzeni landini wangihlasela ekseni kangaka.
And Shembe the second came out of the house and she asked, "What have I done, Landiwe? Why have you come to me this early?"
Wathi umama ngize ngoba ubaba mkhulu ufikile kimi wathi usezongithatha manje ngicela ukuthi umbhekele laba abantwana ba.
And my mother said, "I've come to you for the prophetess came to me and said that he is going to fetch me, so I want you to look after my children."
Wathi ngicela ukuthi ubabusise ngoba lokhu bakhula abakaze bengihluphe.
And she said, I'm asking of you to bless them, for since they were young they have never worried me or troubled me.
Uthi-ke ubaba inyanga ezulu wena wakuthathaphi lokhu kuhlakanipha onke amaNazaretha anganakho.
And Shembe the third asked her, "Where do you get such wisdom that all the Nazarites do not have?"
Uthi mama ukuhlakanipha kuni lokhu amaNazaretha anganakho.
What wisdom is that the Nazarites do not have? She asked.
Uthi-ke ubaba inyanga ezulu uyazi ukuthi kwenziwa yini laba abantwana bakho bebe yilento abayiyona bengakuhluphi.
Do you know why your children do not worry you? Asked Shembe the third.
Uthi-ke ubaba inyanga ezulu kungenxa ukuthi ngaso sonke isikhathi uyabanikelela.
It is because you constantly give offerings on their behalf.
Lokhu kuqonda kwabo kudalwe iminikelo yakho.
The fact that they behave properly is as a result of your offerings.
Ngisho ngithi mina angaze ngize ngishawe abazali bami futhi angaze ngishawe nangoyedwa.
I always say that I have never received a beating from my parents or anybody else for that matter.
Nasesikoleni ngangashawa ngoba ngishawa iclass lonke kodwa nje mina ngingedwa ukuthi ngishawe into engayazi leyo.
And whenever there was a beating that I received from school, it was because it was for the whole class, not for myself as an individual.
Nabafowethu omdala nomncane angaze mbabone beba abantu abaziqhamu noma ngayiphi indlela noma babe ngafani nami.
And I have never seen my brothers being social viruses or in any way, though they were not like me.
Angaze nje ngigange empilweni yami.
And I've never been a naughty person in my life.
ngangezwa umnikelo umama owayenginikelela wona ngaso sonke isikhathi ukuthi ngiqonde.
It was because of the offering that my mother constantly gave out for me to behave properly.
Ngiye ngisho ngithi njoba ngingaze ngashawa nje futhi angaze mina ngimshaya umuntu.
And I said that since I have never been beaten by anyone, I have also never given anyone a beating.
Angisho ukuthi ngiyaziqhenya ngalokho ngoba kufanele ukuthi umshaye umuntu noma ingane yakhe, kodwa mina ngaze ngishaye umuntu futhi angaze ngishaye nesingane yakhe.
And I'm not saying that I'm proud of that, but I'm saying that I've never given anyone a beating, nor have I given any of my children a hiding.
Kodwa engiqonda ukusho ukubaleka komnikelo ukuthi umnikelo uyamakha umuntu.
But what I'm speaking about is the importance of giving an offering, for that builds up a person.
Uyakwakha wena.
And it also builds you up.
Uyamkhipha umuntu esihogweni.
And it can set someone free from hell.
Ileyo nto thina ufanele siyazi ngoba iyiqiniso uShembe wasifundisa lokho nengilosi isifundise lokho.
And that is what we must know, for Shembe taught us that, and that is what the angel has taught us.
Uthi baba inyanga ezulu ukubone ukuthi bonke abantwana abacelwe lapha abagcina bezidakwa bephuza utshwala beyiyo yonke into.
And Shembe the third said, do you realize that all children that come from Ekparameni eventually end up being drunkards?
Uthi ke ubaba inyanga ezulu umuntu mayicelwe lapha ufana newele, iwele lihlale lifuna ukuthi njalo maso sonke isikhathi lithunqiselwe.
And Shembe the third said that if a child has been asked from here to Ekparameni, they are like a twin. Twins are required that incense is burnt for them all the time.
Uthi ke la ekhaya kufanele ukuthi abantwana ubanikelele ukuze beqonde.
And he said that you should always give offerings for children here at Ekparameni for them to grow up and behave properly.
Uthi kodwa amaNazaretha akakwenzi lokho wena wedwa kwenzayo yikho abantwana bakho benje.
But and he said that the Nazarites do not do that. That is why their children are like that is why their children are social misfits.
Ubaba inyanga ezulu ke wayese uyasibusisa esibusisa egameni lika mama.
And Shembe the third then blessed us through the request of my mother.
Ngabusiswa ubaba inyanga ezulu njengoJakobe ebusisa abantwana bakhe.
And I was blessed by Shembe the third as Jacob blessed his children.
Mhlawumbe yikho okwenza ukuthi ngibe umuntu oqondile ngize ngigcine ngiphethe ibandla konke lokho kungenxa yeminikelo kaMama.
Perhaps those are the things that made me grow up behaving properly up until I became a leader of this congregation. It was because of the offerings of my mother.
Njengoba esho ubaba ilanga yonke into esicela ngomnikelo iyenzeka, ngisho ngabe ucela ukuthi umuntu ephume esihogweni uyaphuma ngenxa yomnikelo wakho.
As Shembe the third has said, that everything that we ask through giving an offering does happen. Even if you ask for someone to be set free from hell, that also happens.
Ingilosi iyasichazela kabanzi ukuthi kubaleke ngani ukunikela nokuthi kubaleke ngani ukusebenzela uNkulunkulu.
The angel has explained in length to us as to what is the importance of giving an offering and the importance of working for God.
Kumina uma ngabe kuthiwa akunikele ngisuke ngasho ukuthi akunikelwe ngoba mhlawumbe khona into engidinga kumaNazaretha ngaphandle kokondliwa kuphela.
When I say that people must give an offering, it is not because there is anything that I need from the Nazarites.
Imnikelo yakhelwe ukuthi iyondle umfundisi kodwa kakhulu futhi yakhelwe ukuthi ithuthukise ibandla.
We give offerings to take care of the needs of the priest, but also that the church develops through those offerings.
Hayi ukuthi mina ngibe isicebi ngimnikele abantu.
I should not be rich through the offerings of people.
Kufanele ngiphile nje impilo enormal kodwa hayi ukuthi ngibe isicebi.
I must live a modest life.
Uthi ke unkosazana uma unikela usiza uNkulunkulu.
The maiden said that if you give an offering, you are helping God.
Uma wakha amabhizinisi ngokunderstanda ukuthi kufanele onakho ukunikeza uNkulunkulu kuyinto enkulu lezo.
If you create businesses in the understanding that some of or a portion of the money that you get will be directed towards offerings in the church, that is something great in heaven.
Njengoba silapha sesiyazi noma singanakile ukuthi ukunikela kubaleke kangakanani.
As we are gathered here, we now understand the importance of giving an offering.
Ngelinye ilanga kwakukhona lapha ethempelini umkhokheli echaza ukuthi ingilosi ithena kunesifo esibi esizayo. Ngakho ke kasinikele sisivikele isifo.
It was here within this temple that the chief counselor explained that the angel said there is a great pandemic or disease that is coming. Therefore, we should give out offerings and ask that we are protected from this disease.
Ithi ingilosi ngendlela lesifo esibi ngayo abantu boze bedle inhlabathi bedle notshani.
The angel said that this disease is so terrible that people will end up eating sand and grass.
Kwakusho umkhokheli la sikho.
And the chief counselor said that in our presence.
Ngimangalile mase ngithola ukuthi eNdiya abantu sebebhixa ngobulongo nangemchama ngoba bethi baqeda lesifo.
And I was amazed that I saw that in India people are now taking on cow dung and mud and spreading it out on their bodies, thinking that they are trying to save themselves from this disease.
Kodwa thina ingilosi yathi njena nikelani kuJehova ukuthi lesi sifo singanihlaseli.
But the angel said to us that we should give offerings so that this pandemic does not overcome us.
Singahlaseli even abaseduze kwethu.
That it does not even overcome those who are close to us.
Yabuya yathi nikelani ukuthi lesi sifo nibe isitha nina kuso.
And she carried on to say that we should give an offering so that we become enemies to this pandemic.
Uma ngabe noma singena kumuntu uma sibona wena sibaleke.
Even if it enters into a person, when it sees you, it should flee.
Lokho sasikutshela ingilosi niyakwazi.
And you are witness to the fact that it was told to us by the angel.
Lokhu kwafika i-coronavirus akhona oyedwa umuntu kuleli bantu sekwabulala i-coronavirus. Noyedwa nje.
And since the start of the coronavirus, not even one person has succumbed to this virus.
Ngisho ihlobo zethu isihlobo sakhe seduze kwakho njengengane yakho nomama wakho asibulawa i-coronavirus.
Even our immediate families have not succumbed to this disease.
Ngoba thina manazwaletha kaNkulunkulu sisitha kulesi sifo.
For we Nazarites of God are enemies to this disease.
Lesi sifo siyasesaba.
This disease fears us.
Sonke nabangekho lapha abanye amathempeli abantu nje base-NCG akulula ukuthi kuthiwe babulawe i-coronavirus. Okuseqinisweni kuze kube manje akaze kwenzeke.
All of us as we are gathered here, in fact, everyone who is within this congregation of NCG, it is not easy that you may be succumbed to this virus. And in fact, it has never even happened.
Kodwa konke lokhu kwenziwe nje ngomnikelo nje ukuthi siguqe phambi kwaNkulunkulu sicele ukuthi asivikele lesifo.
And all of this is as a result of the offerings that we gave to God.
Njengamanje uNkulunkulu ngempela noNkulunkulu abakhiwe kuzocaca ukuthi imuphi uNkulunkulu ibaphi uNkulunkulu abakhiwe.
It will be evident at this point in time as to which is the true God and which gods are idols.
uNkulunkulu usedemonstrate kithi ukuthi uNkulunkulu waUnkulunkulu.
And God has demonstrated to us that He is the God of gods.
Njengoba ngisho nje ngithi ngiyambonga uNkulunkulu ukuthi kuze kube manjena angaze ngikhaliswa ukuthi khona umuntu wase-NCG osebulawe yi-coronavirus.
As I'm saying that, I give thanks and glory to God that I've never wept on behalf of any member that has passed away within this congregation because of the coronavirus.
Akaze kwenzeke ngisho ehlobeni zethu akakho umuntu engangambona efika ekhala ethi sekufa isihloko sakhe ngenxa ye-coronavirus.
And it has never even happened to our family members. There is no one from this congregation who has come to me weeping, saying that their loved ones have passed away because of the coronavirus.
Uma ngingaqamba amanga mhlawumbe uyedwa noma babili abantu abake bafika nje bathi sekushona ihlobo zabo zibolala yi-coronavirus.
If I'm not lying, perhaps there is one or two people who have come to me and said that their families have passed away because of this coronavirus.
Umfundisi uNtuli wabika ukuthi umfowabo osonto ebuhleni uhambile hanjiswa i-coronavirus.
The priest Ntuli did report to me that his brother, who belongs to the Ebuhleni faction, passed away because of the coronavirus.
Umesisingiti wangitshela ukuthi unina uhambile emhlabeni ebulawa yi-coronavirus.
Mrs. Ngiti also reported to me that her mother passed away because of the coronavirus.
Kodwa wayengayingxenye yaleli bandla.
But those people were not part of this congregation.
Ngaphandle kwalabantu ababili akakho umuntu wakwafika kimi wathi kunomuntu oyisihlobo sakhe osondelene naye obulawa yi-coronavirus.
Apart from these two people, nobody else has come to me and reported such cases.
Kodwa ekufeni kwethu nje sisodwa khona yedwa umuntu osekwabulawa yi-coronavirus kithi.
But amongst us, there is not even one person who has passed away because of the coronavirus.
Leyo nto kufanele singayikhohlwa futhi sinakisise ngoba inkulu.
And we should not forget that, and we should pay attention to such a thing, for it is great.
Ngoba ibulale umhlaba wonke.
For the whole world has succumbed to this pandemic.
Kodwa thina sikhululekile noma kuthiwa kufa abantu abangaki eSouth Africa noma kwaZulu Natal akuyona nje into engena engqondweni zethu ngoba thina sinoNkulunkulu ophilayo.
But we are a people who are free, for we have a living God. No matter how many people die internationally and within the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we do not worry.
Kodwa salalela nje ingilosi mayithi nikelani nicele uNkulunkulu ukuthi ningafi nibulawa lesifo.
We just listened to the angel when she said that we must give offerings and ask that we are not overcome by this virus.
Ingilosi isifundisa izinto eziningi zokukholwa okufanele ukuthi zihlale engqondweni zethu.
The angel has taught many things to us that we should keep and they should dwell in our minds.
Ingilosi ifike yasitshela ukuthi abathakathi bamthatha umuntu bemthwebule bomenza isicela sakhe sefile.
The angel told us that witches are able to take or use the spirit of a person and turn them into their spiritual slave.
Ithi baningi abantu abafa lapha ngisho befa kanjani kodwa bephenduke beyoba izigcila zabathakathi ngoba ngaleso sikhathi basuke bengasakwazi ukuthi bazokwenza njani.
And the angel said that there are many people who have died here who have become slaves to those witches, for they are powerless against them.
Kodwa ithi ke ingilosi umuntu oyehluleka ukwenza leyo umuntu engeke umthakathi ekwenze lokho umuntu okholiwe onoNkulunkulu ngoba ayikwazi akakwazi umthakathi ukuthatha umoya womuntu ovikelwe uNkulunkulu.
And the angel said that the witches cannot do that to a person who is a faithful believer in God, for they are unable to take a spirit that is protected by God.
Yathi ingilosi kofanele ukuthi sinikele bese siye emanzini. Sithi masemanzini usho ukuthi ngizobhadatiselwa abazali bami noma abakithi ukuthi bengene ezulwini.
And the angel said that we should give an offering and then be baptized and say that we are being baptized on behalf of our parents and our forefathers, that they may be granted access into heaven.
Ithi ke ingilosi mase bengene ezulwini umthakathi akasenawo amandla kubo.
And the angel said that when they have been granted entrance into heaven, witches do not have any power over them.
Ngenxa ye-coronavirus ke besingakaze sikwenze lokho ukuthi sibhadatiselwe imndeni yethu.
Because of the coronavirus, we have been unable to baptize on behalf of our family members.
Kodwa afanele sikukhohle lokho ngoba kuyimphefumulo yethu.
But we should not forget those. We should not forget that, because that is a matter of our soul.
Ithi ingilosi uma laba bantu sebephendule ubaba wakho bamenza umkhovu noma ugogo wakho noma umkhulu wakho uphenduka ebeyisitha kini umthakathi ebulale wena ngoyihlo ongasekho emhlabeni.
The angel said that if these witches do that, your father becomes a spiritual slave to those witches, and they become a curse to you and your family.
Ngangazi ukuthi lento ikhona ngempela kodwa sengiyayazi manje ukuthi ikhona ngoba ingilosi iyasitshela ngayo ukuthi ikhona yenzeka.
I did not know that such a thing does happen, but I now believe it, for the angel has told us that it happens.
Thina sinenhlanhla ngoba sifike sitshelwe inkinga bese sitshelwa nesolution yayo.
We are fortunate that we are always told about problems and then the solution to those.
Ingilosi isifundise ukuthi siyakwazi ukunikela sinikelele ukuthi singasheshe sife.
The angel has taught us that we are also able to give offerings, that we do not die young or easily.
Ithi ingilosi uma ngabe uhlale unikelela ukuthi ungasheshe ufe. Kuye ukuthi noma sekufanele ukuthi ufe igijime ingilosi yakho izokuvimba lokho kufa ngoba uyinikelele ukuthi kubheke ungasheshe ufe.
The angel has said that if you constantly give an offering and ask that you do not die early, whenever the time comes for you to die, an angel is sent out, and that angel protects you against a particular death, for you are constantly giving offerings.
Ithi ingilosi umuntu nomuntu unengilosi yakhe embhekayo kodwa ifuna ukondliwa.
The angel said that each and every person has an individual angel that is assigned to them, but that angel requires you to give an offering on their behalf.
Kodwa awuzukuya engilosini uthi ngibheke ngoba uyazi umnikelo unikela kuNkulunkulu esontweni bese ke le ngilosi yakho lo mnikelo uqondane nayo bese iyakubheka.
So the angel said that you cannot go directly to your angel and say that look after me, but you give an offering to God, and that offering is directed towards your angel, and then your angel looks over you.
Sefanele ufe ingilosi ihambe iyocela uNkulunkulu ukuthi cha lo muntu unikele umnikelo ukuthi engasheshe ife uhlale enikela ngakho ke lo mnikelo wakhe awumsebenzele engasheshe efe khulu.
And when it is time for you to die an early death, then your angel goes before God and asks that you are saved from that particular death, for you have constantly been giving offerings and asking that you do not die.
Angazi noma senakukhohlwa lokho ngoba abantu banikela kanye nje into mayimenyezelo bese bekhohlwa iyona. Kanti yinto leyo efana nomshwarensi. Laqhuma kapha lelo gama lokuthi lemnikelo insurance.
I do not know whether you have forgotten that, for it is often that people just do something once when it has been announced and after that they forget.
Uma ukhipha umnikelo wakho, ukhipha angiqonde ukuthi uma ngabe ujoyine umshwarensi, leyo mali uyikhipha njalo ngenyanga mhlambe kuze kufike isikhathi sakho sokufa.
What I'm saying is that when you have joined an insurance, there is a fee that you pay every month, maybe till the time you die.
Ithi-ke ingilosi thina sizothatha umshwarensi womphefumulo.
And the angel said that we will take an insurance for our souls.
Ngiyababona abantu bebanemshwarensi yenyama bebanayo yonke inhlobo yomshwarensi, kodwa nina niyoba nomshwarensi womoya ukuthi ngalo mshwarensi ngingene ezulwini.
I see people taking insurances for their cars, etc., but you will have a spiritual insurance that through this insurance you will be granted entrance into heaven.
Lo mshwarensi lona ungayikhethela wena ukuthi ngenyanga ngizokhokha malini, kodwa ufanele sibe nayo umshwarensi wokuphila kwethu.
And you are the one who is going to decide as to what is the amount that you are going to offer, but we must have an insurance for our lives.
Ithi ngilosi ngenibone ninikele ukuthi ngicebe nikelele lokhu nalokhu, kodwa ninikela nini, nikelela umphefumulo wenu ukuthi uma kufika isikhathi sokuthi uNkulunkulu ewuthathe nikwazi ukuthi ufikeleke.
The angel said that I do see you giving offerings and asking that you become rich, but when do you ever give offerings that when the time comes for you to die, your soul is saved?
Ikhona inkosikazi abaphakathi kwenu efana nomama, ngazi noma yangizwa ngikhuluma yini, ngaso sonke isikhathi yayifike inikelela abantwana bazo, and ngiyabona ukuthi leso senzo siyasebenza.
There is a woman amongst you who is always giving offerings for her children, and I can see that is working out.
Ngakho ke kufanele sonke sikubheke lokho ukuthi asibanikelele abantwana bethu ukuthi bekhule kahle, sibanikelele abantwana bethu ukuthi bengafi, sibanikelele abantwana bethu ukuthi bengakidnapwa. Konke lokho sikunikele uNkulunkulu.
And so therefore you should look into that we should give offerings and ask that our children do not die, that they are not kidnapped. We must do all of those things.
Ingilosi yafike yasifundisa futhi ukuthi sinikelele amaphoyisa asemoyeni ukuthi singaqhekezelwa izinto zethu zingantshontsheka lula.
And the angel did teach us that we should give an offering for heavenly police, that our houses are not easily broken into and that our properties are not easily stolen.
Ngithe ngihambe ngiya eKloof kanti ngenkathi ephuma umkhokheli iselfone iwe phansi.
And when I recently went to Kloof, and we found out that when the chief counselor was going out of the car, her cell phone had fell down.
Le cellphone yami nayo yonke into.
And my cell phone had everything.
Futhi iwa eduze kweyimoto engathi mayihlehle phezulu kwayo.
And it fell such that any car that reversed would reverse onto it.
Sithe sibone sesiya ebhenki ukuthi hayi ayikho cellphone.
And we realized that we did not have our cell phone just as we are about to enter the bank.
Sithe masishayela kwakhuluma umuntu wathi hayi nazi le cellphone ikimi. Iwe laphana yacishe yashayiswa imoto ngayithatha.
And when we called, a person answered and said that I have the cell phone with me. I saw it on the floor and took it.
Nangampela lo muntu weza wasifuna wazobuye wasinikeza i-cellphone njengoba njalo.
And this person looked for us up until he found us and gave us our cell phone back.
Uthi-ke umkhokheli uyawubona umsebenzi ukuthi ngaso sonke isikhathi sinikelele amaphoyisa.
And the counselor said, you see the results of constantly giving offerings for heavenly police.
Kwakungaqali njengoba ngangasho ukuthi ngelinye ilanga iselfoni yami yawa la Ultra City. Yathi mayisiwile sangayibona sesabona silapha kodwa yathi mayisiwile umfana ithathe hamba nayo unkosazana wamsukela wafika mephutsa yona wayithatha uzoyibeka lapha endlini lapho wahlala khona ubona.
And it was not the first time that something of that nature happened. I did narrate that I was at Ultra City when my cell phone fell, and we realized when we had got here to Durban, and the maiden saw this young boy picking it up, and she took it away from him, and she put it on the wall of the house that we lived in at the time.
Sathi lapha sesithi siyoshintsha amakhathi nani kwangena ucingo wathi uhlaleleni iselfoni yenu iphezulu kwelokhuza kwesigcobo ocingweni. Nangampela sathi masihamba sayifica sihleli khona.
Just as we were about to head to the banks to make or ask our cards to be blocked and have other cards, the maiden called and she said that our purse is near a pole against the wall, and when we went out we found it there. It was at the house of the priest Mpanza. He is witness that this did happen.
Ngithike angeke uqede uthando oya uthandwe ngalo uNkulunkulu ngeke futhi uqonde.
I am saying to you that you can never understand the love that God has for you.
Ngeke uze ube nalo ulwazi lokuthi ungani uNkulunkulu engithanda kangaka.
And you can never have the knowledge as to why God loves you so.
Kodwa uNkulunkulu sithandile thina sonke njengoba sila.
But God has loved all of us as we are gathered here.
Ithi ngilosi nikelele ukuthi uma kufika ukufa njengoba abantu mabethi masebefa begule kakhulu nina kungababikho lokho kufa nithi mase nifika isikhathi sekufa uvela usuke uhambe ezulwini ungaguli kangaka.
The angel said that we must give an offering and ask that when the time of our death comes, we should not suffer the pain of long sicknesses, that we should just die and go to heaven.
Futhi sicele ngomnikelo ukuthi uma sengifile ngingayithuneni ngihambe ngiyezulwini.
And that we must ask using our offerings that when we die, we should not be caught in the grave, but we should go to heaven.
Leyo mnikelo ibaleke kabi ngoba hayi ukuthi umnikelo ofanele uze ukhiphe ngoba umemezela thina ukuthi si ukhiphe. Umnikelo kufanele uqonde ukuthi lo mnikelo umele ukuthi ngingasheshe ngife. Lo mnikelo umele ukuthi ngingaguli kakhulu uma ngizokufa. Lo mnikelo umele ukuthi ngithi ngifa ngingayisogweni. Ngingayithuneni, ngohlala ethuneni inyama yami yohlala nomoya wami ethuneni.
And you should not wait until we announce those offerings. You should know that these are different offerings that you should give out from time to time.
Ngiyanikhumbuza nje ukuthi nikwazi lokho ukuthi akusho ukuthi ngoba sakumemezela lokho sekuphelile cha. Sonke isikhathi uma uba nemali into yokuqala kufanele uyicabange ukunikelela umphefumulo wakho.
I'm just reminding you that every time you have money, that is the first thing you must think about, giving an offering for your soul.
Sonke isikhathi uma ngiba nemali anginikelele abantu bakithi ukuthi bengadlala bathakathi beye ezulwini.
All the time when I have money, I must give an offering and ask that my forefathers are not taken away by or enslaved by witches, that they may be granted entrance into heaven.
Ithi ngilosi uma ubulele umuntu ayikho intethelelo ongayithola ngaphandle kokuthi uyithole kulowo muntu ombulele.
The angel said that if you have killed somebody, there is no forgiveness for that sin apart from being forgiven by that person that you killed.
Ngisho ngabe kuthiwa lowo muntu umbulele ngephutha. kodwa uma umuntu efe nje esandleni sakho awukwazi ukuthola intethelo lokwenye indawo ngaphandle kokuthi uyithole kuye.
Even if you killed that person by mistake, you cannot be forgiven apart from getting that forgiveness from that person.
Ithi-ke ingilosi indlela elula yokuthola intethelo kumuntu ukuthi ukhiphe umnikelo ukuthi ngicela ukuthi lo muntu ohambe emhlabeni ngesandla sami Nkosi umngenise ezulwini.
And the angel said the easiest way for you to get forgiveness from that person is that you should give an offering and ask that God, I ask that you grant entrance into heaven to this person.
Ithi-ke ingilosi uma ukwenzele kanjalo lokho lo muntu akakwazi ungaxoleli ngoba umuntu osefile yinye kuphela into oyifunayo ungena ezulwini.
And the angel said that if you do that, that person can never not forgive you, for when a person dies, they are only interested in one thing, and that is to go to heaven.
Ngakho-ke noma wakwabulala umuntu noma umbulale ngephutha ufanele ukuthi lo muntu umnikelele ukuze engabuyi kuwe ngoba umuntu ombulele uba isitha sakho ezebe isitha sesizukulwane sakho sasithelwe ingilosi.
Therefore, if you have killed somebody, you must give an offering for them, for that person becomes an enemy to you and your progeny.
Insurance singayikhokha singaba nanje insurance kodwa umshwalense omkhulu umshwalense womphefumulo wakho.
It is okay for us to have insurances, but the greatest insurance is that of the soul.
Abantu basemhlabeni baba nemshwalense ukuphathela ukuthi umngcwabo wakho ube mkhulu yonke into emshwalense ithi ngilosi yonke le nto ayinamsebenzi ngoba into ebalekile okufanele ibe nomshwalense umphefumulo wakho ukuthi ngiyakuphi.
And people pay insurances for them to be buried in dignity. But the angel said that all those things are in vain. What is important is that you give offerings for the soul.
Iba nomshwalensi wamaphoyisa asezulwini ukuthi ebheke nomzi wakho.
You must have an insurance that you pay to heavenly police, that they look after you and they look over after your house.
Iba nomshwalensi wokuzicelela ukuphila wena noma aba ugula.
Have an insurance where you ask for life even if you're not sick.
Lokho abantu basemhlabeni abakwazi kodwa thina sivela sisezulwini ngoba sihlala nomuntu wasezulwini siyayazi leyo.
And people from earth have no understanding of that, but we do, for we live with a being that comes from heaven.
Njengoba nje i-coronavirus ikhuphuka ingilosi thena sizile ukuthi lesi sifo lesokuthiwa sekuyi-third wave ingasihlaseli nayo.
And the angel said that since the third wave is here, we must fast so that this third wave does not overcome us.
Kodwa sesiyazi sibonile ukuthi akakho umuntu phakathi wethu osekwabulawa lesi sifo.
But we know and we have witnessed that there is nobody amongst us who has died as a result of this pandemic.
Kodwa into kufanele siyazi ukuthi ngeke uphile ngokuthi nje umNazaretha kaNkulunkulu kunikelele lokho kuphila.
But what we do know is that you cannot live just out of the virtue that you are a Nazarite of God. You must give offerings for that life.
Yonke imali onayo ihlanganise yonke bese noma ngakunikela ukuthi ngalomnikelo nginikelela ukuthi ngikhule, ngalomnikelo nginikelela ukuthi ngingayi esihogweni, ngalomnikelo nginikelela ukuthi ngingathi mase ngigula ngize ngigule kabi ngoba abantu abaningi bagula iminyaka ngeminyaka hayi ngoba benezono, but it is nature. Kodwa umnikelo wakho uyayishintsha inature yakho.
And you must gather all those offerings and ask from God that when you die you go to heaven, that you do not suffer prior to actually dying. For many people experience such a thing not because they have sins, but such is the way of nature. But through your offerings, God can prevent such a nature from happening to you.
Ithi ingilosi uma ngisho uNkulunkulu senqumile ukuthi uyofa ngesikhathi esithize. Kodwa uma uya kuye nomnikelo uthi inkosi ngicela ukuthi ngiphule. Uyokhuluma kangananga ubaba.
And even if God has said that you are destined to die at a particular time, you will not. You will grow till old age.
Nangu nje ubaba ulokuza usomahashi. Ukuba akakholwe lapha bekudala wakhahlela ibhakede.
Just like the priest Mbubane, if he was not here, he would have long kicked the bucket.
Kodwa uphiliswa ukuba la.
But he is alive because he is amongst us.
Uyazi ukuthi uma ngilapha ngikhonza uNkulunkulu ngizophila noma sekufanele ngife ngizoyezulwini. Uyakwazi lokho umfundisi uNgubane.
And he knows that if I'm here amongst these people, I will live. And even if a time comes for me to die, I will go into heaven.
Uyazi futhi ukuthi ufanele ukuthi lempilo ngiyinikelele. Uyakwenza futhi.
And he knows that he should give offerings for such a life, and he does that.
Ngiqonda ukushoke ukuthi bantwana basekuphameni sithandiwe sikhethiwe ezulwini.
I am saying to you that children of Ekpagameni, we have been chosen in heaven and we are loved.
And lemfundiso esifundisiwe kufanele siyipractice bebona abantu ukuthi siyayipractice.
And we should practice that which has been taught to us. People must see that we are putting it into practice.
Ithi ngilosi kuza isikhathi lapha okovakasha ngisho Minister of Health izobuza ukuthi nenza ngani nini ukuthi ufa bonke abantu ningafi.
And the angel said that there is coming a time where the Minister of Health will come to us and inquire as to how do you do it that you do not die when people are dying everywhere.
Impendulo yethu ukuthi asinamuthi kodwa sinoNkulunkulu ophilayo.
And we will reply by saying that we do not have any medicines, but we have a living God.
Uma abantu sibatshela ukuthi sinoNkulunkulu ophilayo bathi sinamanga kodwa bazogcina bebona ukuthi la kunoNkulunkulu ophilayo, lapha kunoJehova, lapha kunobabilanga, lapha kunomprofeti uIzayashembe, lapha kunabo bonke abaprofeti. Ngisho singene esontweni bayeza bezosonta la.
And it will come a time where people realize that we have a living God, that Shembe II is amongst us, that the prophet Isaiah Shembe is also amongst us, that whenever it is time for us to congregate, they come amongst us as well.
Satshelwe ngilosi ukuthi njengoba sisesontweni njena bonke abantu basezulwini basonta la. Ithi noma singababona.
It is the angel that told us that when it is time for the service, all beings from heaven join us.
Abantu basemhlabeni bengasho noma yini kodwa sinendaba ngoba abantu basezulwini bathembele kithi.
People from earth can say anything, we do not care, but we know that in heaven they trust us.
uNkulunkulu uyogcina ekhonzwa emhlabeni kodwa ama-pioneers wokulwela uNkulunkulu ithina.
God will eventually be worshipped in all the earth, but the pioneers of that will be us.
Wathi baba ilanga ayikho into ezobanhle emhlabeni njengobuNazaretha.
Shembe II said that there is coming a time where there will be nothing that will be more beautiful than the Nazarite faith.
Abantu emhlabeni basazoba shock ngaleli bandla.
And people on earth are still yet to be shocked about this congregation.
AmaNazaretha amaningi asazoba shocked ngaleli bandla.
And many Nazarites are going to be shocked.
NamaKristu azoba shocked.
And the Christians.
Noma bengamisa amakhanda bebe njani kodwa kufanele bazi into eyodwa umuntu mayeseyedwa ukuthi la kunoNkulunkulu ophilayo.
No matter how stubborn-headed they might, stubborn or stiff-necked they might be, each individual must know that there is God, there is a living God amongst us.
And into eyenza ukuthi uNkulunkulu ehlale nathi ukuthi siyamkhonza ngemthetho nangokumdumisa.
And what makes God to live amongst us is because we worship Him through praise and abiding by His laws.
For the first time, noma kungayi first time emhlabeni wonke, ngoba kwenzeka kwa-Israyeli kwenzeka ngesikhathi sikababa mkhulu nabanye abaholi, kodwa njengamanje for the first time ingilosi izohlala nabantu ibafundisa into noma impilo yasezulwini.
For the first time in the modern era, it is happening that an angel from heaven has come between a people to teach them a life that is heavenly.
Ngeke ngithi mase ngixoxa nomkhokheli ngithi kodwa yabona ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyasithanda. Lento yenzeka kanjani?
And whenever I talk to the chief counselor, I ask her, do you see that God loves us? How does such a thing happen?
Kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi ezulwini izulu lilikhulu kangaka kwethenjelwe kithi nje ukuthi sizobuyisa uNkulunkulu la emhlabeni?
How does it happen that great as heaven is, but they entrust that we are the ones who will restore the faith system of God here on earth?
Ngithema ngitshela abantu ukuthi ubuNazaretha buqali manje nangisho uYeshua wayengumNazaretha bazama kumphikisa benza yonke into, kodwa sekunezincwadi eziningi nako YouTube lapha abachaza khona manje ngenkolo kaYeshua ubuNazaretha.
Amen.
I told people that the Nazarite faith has its roots in the time of Yeshua, but they tried many different strategies to argue against that. But there are now books that have been written and videos on YouTube that explain what I was saying.
Njengoba silapha nje, we may be few compared to many other congregations, kodwa soyishintsha indaba yalezi inkolo ezikhona. At the end kuzosala uNkulunkulu yedwa.
Though we are few in number in comparison to other congregations, but we are going to change the gospel of God up until there is one true gospel.
Kosi Masibheke enkosini. uNkulunkulu wakithi ekuphakameni. uNkulunkulu kaShembe. Nkosi mdali wezulu nomhlaba. Siyabonga Nkosi kuba usimemile lapha ethempelini lakho kuba sizokudumisa. Cela Nkosi kuba ukudumisa kwethu kwamukeleke ezulwini. Usiphe Nkosi ukuhlakanipha kwasezulwini. Usiphe Nkosi ukwazi ukwehlukanisa okuhle nokubi. Siyabacelela Nkosi bonke abantwana bakhe abezela nabathamelele enkonzo ezindaweni ezahlukene. Ukuthi Nkosi bekwazi ukuthola iqiniso lakho. Wena Nkosi usithande njengoba usithandile. Leli bandla lakho Nkosi ligcwale umhlaba wonke. Iqiniso lakho Nkosi ligcwale umhlaba wonke. Izitha zethu Nkosi zijabhe. Amadimoni Nkosi afuna ukuhlasela engabanawo amandla phezulu. Siyacela Nkosi kuba labo abantwana Nkosi ubakhumbule. Kuthi uNkulunkulu wasekuphameni abangasebenzi bafunele umsebenzi. Kuthi uNkulunkulu wasekuphameni abangabathola abantwana babathola abantwana. Kuthi uNkulunkulu wasekuphameni abalambile Nkosi basothise. Sicela Nkosi ukuthi izitha zethu inqobe. Nezitha zokuNazaretha uyinqobe. Ngelakho Nkosi igama manje ngephakade. Amen.